Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Companies to watch.
Good morning and happy Friday. And it seems like we're turning to fashion this Friday with Companies to Watch with Dan Coe.
Fast Fashion Friday with Audrey. Welcome to Companies to Watch. That's a segment where we spotlight and stock you up with ideas of listed companies that will call for your attention. So we're looking at market trends to risks as well as hidden gems or warning signs to steer clear of. 8855-0893 text us and tell us whether you think it's going to be a hot or not. All right, Audrey, it's your favorite segment, shopping.
It's my favorite segment. Yes, should we buy the stock is the question.
Yes. All right. Now, Audrey, what does H&M stand for?
I kind of remember this.
I gotta search it up as well.
It's not the name, I don't think, but it's something like his and hers or hers, her, man. I don't know.
It stands for Hans and Moritz.
Okay, but I know that it's something to do with male and female, right?
Yeah, hers and men's. Yes and no. It's made for. They make clothing for kids, for adults, for teenagers, for basically all walks of life, right?
Okay.
They sell clothing, accessories, and homeware. They've got a significant global presence as well, operating thousands of stores across 75 geographical markets. And they're the second largest international clothing retailer after Inditex. And I believe they're the maker of Zara, which is the brand that most Singaporeans can identify with.
Yeah.
In Swedish, it would be pronounced as home.
Okay.
Yeah, we're turning over to H&M today, and we're going to dive deep into their latest financial report card because they've recently announced that they've got better than expected profit that's helped by tighter cost control and strong demand for its women's fashion and sportswear ranges, a sign that the Chief Executive Officer Daniel Ervil's turnaround strategy is finally progressing. Have you shopped at H&M?
I have to say, I don't frequent that store.
Yeah.
But my husband likes buying the simpler undershirts and like stuff
it's
like
cheap.
that.
Yeah.
It's cheap, and I do have some socks, I believe, from H&M.
Yeah. And recently, I think they've also, just a couple of years back, they just started out their home section, right?
Yeah.
Operating profit for the 3 months through May was at 5.9 billion krono. That's about $625 million, coming in above analysts' projections. Higher profit came even despite H&M being hit by higher purchasing costs that's related to adverse currency moves and expensive freight rates. And while the company did report weaker than expected sales in the fiscal second quarter, he did say that there would be an uptick in demand to kickstart the summer season. Do you see yourself spending more in the summer season?
Well, the thing is, for us, at least here in Singapore, the weather's all the same.
Yeah.
So I feel like the summer season buy-up tends to be more prominent internationally.
Yep.
But what I also find interesting is that with the fashion game being so overcrowded now, and I find that H&M is kind of stuck in the middle, right?
Yeah.
They have so many cheaper competitors, real low-cost titans that people turn to if they wanted a quick turnaround or something really trendy to wear.
Yeah.
And they have, of course, the more premium brands, the more premium fast fashion brands. So the middle is the hardest place to be. So my question is, how many people still look for that middle ground? Because that's pretty difficult to justify without having to cut cost. You know?
Oh, yeah, certainly so. And revenues at the world's second largest clothing retailer did dip year on year to about $5.99 billion. In local currency term, though, sales were up by about 1%. But according to the CEO, these negative external factors should start to reverse in the second half. And he did added that measures have a faster impact than others, but the direction is clear that during the year they continue to implement improvements in other parts of the business. H&M's products, most of us would know that they produce notably in China and Bangladesh, but they did not specify whether the direct impact of the U.S. trade tariffs have already hit them.
Yeah.
But they're closely monitoring the situation. But this is definitely a sector that is going to be hardly hit by the U.S. trade tariffs that, as we've seen, playing out in recent months. So we'll just see how they continue to navigate this uncertain times.
For sure, because, supply chain leans heavily on Asia for H&M. And so especially China, Bangladesh. So any disruption, tariffs or kind of shipping bottlenecks could really impact margins here.
And H&M, which counts U.S. as its second largest single market, it still depends heavily on production in Asia. That might, pose as a significant challenge for them. So hopefully, if we see them just changing their supply chain or just re-strategizing themselves, that might be a good investment case for them. But it also flagged 200 store closures scheduled for 2025, primarily in established markets, and 80 new store openings largely in growth markets. I feel like brick and mortar stores these days aren't as relevant as they used to be. In fact, I find myself spending a lot more time on the internet and shopping online than actually going down to the stores.
Yeah, I think that e-retail also has changed the game for a lot of these stores. And closing 200 stores next year, that's a reality check because even the biggest names are shrinking to grow. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So yes, H&M, they did face several quarters of soft sales, as we've seen in recent years. They've struggled to close a widening gap with Inditex-owned rival Zara and fend off, like what you've mentioned earlier, increased competition from low-cost retailers such as Shein and Temu.
Yeah, so they're right in the middle, and that's a tough place to compete because they're not quite cheap enough to beat Shein and not quite sharp enough and aspirational enough to keep up with Zara. And in this market, if you're not the cheapest or the most desirable, you risk becoming kind of
obsolete.
Forgettable, right?
So U.S. tariffs, weak consumer confidence. More than ever, they've become a drag for the retail sector. And more widely, Inditex did earlier this month posted weaker than expected quarterly sales as well. So it's not just H&M that's losing ground in terms of sales. But here's something to cheer for investors. Because according to the board of directors, H&M has, on the basis of the authorization that's granted by its annual general meeting, did agree to acquire its company's own Class B shares in order to, ensure the delivery of their shares to the participants in the company's long-term incentive program. So it suggests to a certain extent how they still see value in the company. And on top of that, they will enter the Brazil market in the second half of the year and open stores in El Salvador and Venezuela.
Yeah, not to be the devil's advocate here, but, is this a vote of confidence or is it just optics,
Ooh, that's a good perspective.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that, Audrey. And that would pretty much do it for Stock in Focus. H&M, I guess my verdict for today would have to be, I suppose, a nod.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with you on this one. I think there are too many factors up in the air. The U.S.-China trade tension, it's not just tech that's getting hit. Retail with exposure to China could also take a knock. And so it depends on your appetite. If you're betting on a turnaround and a return to people finding the incentive to go back to H&M again, then maybe. But if you're looking for momentum plays or innovation-led growth, then you might want to skip this one.
Yeah, that's a good analysis, Audrey. And according to our consensus rating from TipRanks, Yahoo, and Barron's, they're all giving it a hold rating for H&M. Now, here's a fun fact about H&M, Audrey. Did you know that they're ranked as the second world's largest retailer behind Inditex, the owner of Zara? But they're also on the journey of becoming its own global brand when it first started in 1964. But where did they open their first international store?
Are they from Stockholm? So, I don't know. Netherlands? I'm just guessing. I have no idea.
Norway.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Now, the most expensive H&M product was sold as a hand-sewn, multicolored beaded dress. How much was it sold for?
H&M, $500.
Oh, close. $649.
Okay, well, that's pretty pricey still for H&M.
Right?
Yeah.
So what do you call it when you're shopping for new eyebrows?
New eyebrows?
Yeah.
Weird is what I would call it. I don't know.
Browsing. Okay. Did you hear about a fight on the stairs at the shopping mall?
I did not.
Well, it escalated quite quickly. And that's all we have for H&M.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.